Bossy Emily. One day, James was having a little snooze at Roman's gate on his branch line. He was just resting in the shed. Ivor was doing his work when he was just having a little snooze. He was busy all day doing his jobs, and now felt tired as he was sleeping. But just as he was sleeping, Emily puffed into the station. She blew her whistle at James. James suddenly woke up. "Ah, what's happening?" he said. "I tell you what's happening," said Emily. "You're dozing off." James was puzzled. "I'm just having a sleep." "Huh, well, if you must know, all useful engines can't sleep in the daytime." "Why?" said James. "Because," said Emily, "we all have to be really useful. The Fat Controller wouldn't appreciate that, would he?" "Oh, come on. Surely Gordon sometimes goes for sleep whenever he finishes an express train." "True, but he's probably also lazy. But you're much more lazier, James. If you have a branch line, why are you not running it?" "Well, I'm on break." "No excuses," said Emily. "You can have a rest until you get back here to the stretch line for your mail run. Now, if you excuse me, I have to go and do my jobs now, as a much more useful engine than you." And with that, Emily puffed away. This made James cross. "Oh, bother. Emily's in one of her bossy moods again when she thinks she's in charge." The problem with Emily was that sometimes she thinks she's in charge, even though that's the Fat Controller's job. This made James very cross. Soon later that day, his fireman and driver arrived to get back to work. To the station master, Rome's gate came over. "James, you're needed at Nafford's yards." "What is it?" said James. "There's a very important job going out. Now, there's goods trains that have to be delivered to each different places on the island, and they're very important. You have to work with Henry, Merodach, and Emily to deliver them." James was happy he was working with Henry and Merodach, but not with Emily. I bet she's also bossy to them as well today. And later this evening, said the station master, "when all four of you have done your work, suppliers will come and take the last train when he's ready." "Right away," said James. And with that, James puffed away. Soon, James arrived at Nafford's yards. Henry and Merodach were already there with fuel and water and coal before they start their jobs, before starting pulling their trains. When James busted in, "Hello, you two," he said. "Hello, James," said Henry. "Hello, James," said Merodach. "I believe you two have seen Emily." "Oh, yes, we have," said Henry. "I can see she's in one of her bossy moods again," said Merodach. "Unfortunately, yes," said James. "She got mad at me because I was having to sleep back at my station." "That's just ridiculous if you ask me," said Henry. What if she wants to get mad if I was trying to have some peace and quiet?" "Well, there's no time for me to have some peace and quiet. We have jobs to do." "Indeed you all do," said a voice. Emily bustled in. "I am sure you three will work hard and make sure you don't cause any confusion and delay for the Fat Controller. If you excuse me, I should take charge of all of our trains and we'll make sure they're delivered on time." And she puffed away to clear her first train. "Hey, the cheek of her," said Henry, "thinking she's in charge of these jobs." "No, she isn't. It's the workmen's jobs," said James. "Don't worry, you two," said Merodach. "We're just to put up with it," he said. And with that, Merodach steamed away. "Hey, come on, let's follow what Merodach said," said Henry. "I better go and turn around," said James. Throughout the entire day, Henry, James, and Merodach worked hard despite of Emily's rudeness. Emily, on the other hand, didn't care. She just wanted to be really useful for the Fat Controller. She was also rude whenever she sees the three engines. No time. I hope you're not showing off today, James, with your red paint, because we have no time for that. Nobody has time to see that. But I changed, said James. I might show off sometimes, but I really changed. No excuses, said Emily, as she puffed away. Then it was Henry's turn. I hope you're filling enough water and coal. You keep doing it each time when you take a train out. I have to make sure I'm refueled, said Henry. What do you want me to do? Get stranded on the line? Would I even like that? No, you should have enough. Plenty of water and coal. And she puffed away. Then Merodach got some of it. Then it was Merodach's turn when he was pulling a train. What are you doing stopping at the signal? I'm just waiting for it to turn green, said Merodach. I hope you're not trying to listen to peace and quiet. No, I'm not, said Merodach. You better not, cause then you'll be very distracted. The fire control won't like that, said Emily, and she puffed away. This made Merodach cross. Later that day in Atwood Yards, the three engines were talking about Emily, and she thinks I was trying to listen to peace and quiet. She blamed me because I keep refilling water and coal each time I take a train out. And she's complaining if I was ever going to show off today, which I told her I changed. The cheek of her, said Merodach. Wait until the fat control is like this. Calm down, Merodach, said Henry. I'm sure we said the fat control at some point. Well, do you guys whatever you can do. I have to take this train out now. Well, good luck with it, said Henry. Oh, don't worry. I'm sure Emily will be seeing me out. And with that, James puffed away with his train. Well, I'm just going to rest in the siding before my next train, Henry, said Merodach. You got it, said Henry. And with that, Merodach puffed away. Just then, a familiar man that Henry knew walked up to him. Ah, Henry, good to see you. Henry was surprised. Well, my, you're the director of that movie me, James and Philip and Boca were in. Yes, I am. What brings you to Sodor? Well, I'm just going around the railway looking for some engines. What for? Said Henry. Oh, just some engines for a new movie I'm working on. What is it going to be about? Well, I wouldn't want to spoil it, but it's going to be something it's going to be some galaxy film. But I don't want to give too much spoilers away. Oh, said Henry, I see. I heard you were talking to that engine. What's it called? He's called Merodach, actually, said Henry. Yes. What were you two speaking about? Henry explained to the director about what Emily was doing all day. Well, it does remind me when I was bossing some James around on the film set when we did our movie. But I'm sure she would calm down. Me too, said Henry. Meanwhile, James was still taking his train out on the main line. However, he was starting to feel a bit hot. It's getting hot out here, he said. James's driver looked at James' speed. Something isn't right. I think we need to stop. No, said James. I don't want to Emily till. But before James could anything else, all of a sudden his boiler busted. His driver quickly applied the brakes, and they came to a sudden stop. Oh dear, said James. Your boiler's after busting, said the driver. I figured because of the sun, said the fireman. The sun was looking at your boiler and overheated you and busted your boiler. Now you're all hot up. But James was stranded. His guards went back down the line to call for help. Back at the yards, Merodach came out the siding. Ah, that was nice, good rest, he said. Dustin and Workman raced up. Look, James has broken down on the main line. The sun was leaning against his boiler, and his boiler's after busting. Meldok, the Fat Controller wants you to go and collect them. Them. Oh dear, what about my train? Henry, you might have to take it. Good. As well as you won't. Right you are, Sir Henry. And after you've done that, Henry, the pirates will collect his train from here, which will be our last train for today. Right you are. And with that, Meldok raced off. I never knew engines can overheat with their boilers, said the director. Oh, that can happen at times, said Henry. The guard soon returned, and with that, Meldok puffed up beside James. Are you alright, James? He said. I am, but my boiler. Don't worry, said Meldok. I'll take you back to Napford. But what about my train? Well, I think we might have to. I think your train has to be put on with the pirate's train. Henry has to take both his and mine. But once we return to Napford, he should be there. We can add your train to the pirate's train, and I'll put you in Napford sheds to be checked over. Got it, said James. Murdoch switched points and was buffed up to James. With that, the strong 9F engine Murdoch puffed away. It was hard work pulling both James and his goods train, but Murdoch was one of the Fat Controller's strongest engines and was determined to get back to Napford as strong as he could. Back at Napford, Henry was resting inside him. The director was still down. Then, when Murdoch puffed in with James. James, are you okay? Said Henry for his best friend. I am, said James. I'll have to put him to Napford shed, said Murdoch. We have to add his trains to the pirates' train, Henry. Got it, said Henry. With that, James was uncoupled from his train, and Murdoch pushed him to Napford sheds. Emily heard the commotion and puffed up. What's going on? She said. It's James, said Henry. The sun was leaning on his boiler, and now his boiler's busted, and now he has to stay in Napford shed to be checked over. Emily thought this. That wouldn't happen to me, she said. So you're the angel that was bossing around all day, said the director. Emily heard this. Me, said Emily. What are you on about? It must be that movie Henry and James and Philip and Boca were in. Yes, I am, said the director, and I'm very cross with you. The director told what Henry said to him. Emily was surprised. But I was only trying to be useful. Not everyone could be useful at times, said the director. Yes, said Henry. What about when you got suspended from being a rescue engine? Said Henry. Not everyone could be useful. Emily knew it was all her fault. She knew the reason why James was rushing himself was because of her. The Fat Controller had me terrified this, said Henry. I know, said Emily. She knew it was all her fault. I was like you, Emily, said the director, when I was filming my movie, and I was so rude to James. But after I got taught a lesson after myself, I knew I was wrong. You're right, said Emily. I've been acting like this ever since I came to Sodor. I have to apologize to him. Sorry, Henry. Well, you can apologize to James once he's better, but Murdoch can do some sorry as well. Meanwhile, Murdoch shunted James into Napford sheds. There you are, James, he said. Thanks, Murdoch, said James. I'm sorry for what happened. We all need to stick together, said Murdoch, even though I'm not part of the Formula member group or steam team. Well, you're always still a good friend and a credit to the railway. Thank you, said Murdoch. And with that, he steamed away. As James was being checked over. Soon Murdoch returned. Emily saw Murdoch. Murdoch, she replied. Oh no, what do you want this time? Listen, I'm sorry what I said to you. Henry and the director of that film he was in, along with James, Philip and Boko, just told me what I've been doing all day, and I'm really sorry. Well, thank you for saying sorry, said Doc. We can't speak to James yet. He has to be checked over first. In no time at all, luckily, the workmen and Napa sheds were able to fix James in time, and James didn't have to go to the steamworks after all. James was delighted by this, as he soon puffed out. He puffed out and puffed into the house to his friends. Well, I'm back, said James. Welcome back, Hen. James, said Henry. Welcome back indeed, said Doc. Thanks, said James. James, said Emily, I'm sorry for what happened. I'm sorry I was the cause of your boiler problem since I was trying to rush you. It's fine, Emily, said James. But you do realize you don't need to be in charge all the time. I know, she replied. I know the factory wouldn't be happy with me. Indeed I'm not, said the voice. It was the back controller. Emily, you should know by now that you're not in charge of the railway. I'm in charge of the railway. I know you were trying to take charge of the goods train today, but those were the yard manager and workman's jobs. All you do is follow their orders. Sorry, sir, said Emily. The good thing that the director did hold you off. And besides, he did after all. But his lesson too, like you. Sorry, said Emily. Also, Sir Topham, said the director, I might need to borrow one of your engines for an upcoming movie I'm working on. It's sort of going to be something out of a Galaxy film. Which one do you want to take, said the Flight Control. I'm not really sure yet, but I'll think about it, said the director. Very well then, said the Flight Controller. Anyways, the suppliers will be coming right now, he said, and he walked away. Soon, Spyro's train was ready and was attached to James's train as well, the one that Meldoc brought back with James. Spyro's puffed and buffled up. Thank you for getting the train ready, everyone, he said. You're welcome, said the engines, and with that, with a toot of his whistle, Spyro's puffed away. As the four engines spoke to each other, you know, said Emily, I really have bossed you guys a lot. Many times. But today, I really have done my lesson. I probably will boss again at some point. Because it might come to me. Don't worry, said Henry. As long as you learn your lesson, you'll be a useful engine. Yes, said Doc, and friends with us too. Who? Yeah, said James, as long as we work as a good team of sodor together. The engines agreed, including Emily. Emily has really learned her lesson that she doesn't need to take charge all the time because she knows that the back controller has everything under control, including other people. She knows that there's no need for her to be in charge all the time because she knows someone is already controlling it. I think she has learned a great deal of lessons today, and she